Hi there! In this lesson we are going to learn why the contracting phase is important. The contracting phase is the final opportunity for you to achieve sustainable procurement results together with your suppliers. But just because it's the final part, it doesn't mean that's also the least important. I can imagine the contracting phase isn't your favorite part of procurement, so we'll keep it short in this lesson. In my time as a procurement manager, I often perceive managing the contract as boring because it comes directly after the most exciting part of the procurement process, the negotiation phase. In this phase, it's time to put all your agreement and deals into paper. Because it's an integral part of the sustainable procurement process, the contracting phase should be done in an efficient manner. I'm here to help you by telling you how I did this in my time as a procurement manager. The first step after the deal is developing the contract. Once I was finished with planning and scoping the content of the contracts, I developed them. This is where details of the contracts are written and discussed further. Step 2 is the negotiation and signing of the contract. Once I finished developing and planning of the contract, it was time for more negotiations with my suppliers about how to put the deal that we have agreed on paper. And later, the signing of the contract. Once again, I generally had to come together for one last negotiation for the details of the contract. If there are details that need to be ironed out, these were discussed thoroughly in these meetings. I want to share a personal example of how I speeded up the contract phase after I came to a deal with a supplier. When I came to a final agreement, I directly produced the first draft agreement via email. Not the hour after closing the deal, but directly after coming to an agreement with everybody in the room. By doing this, I saved myself hours of discussion after closing the deal, discussing about what have we agreed upon. Especially when dealing with large $100 million plus suppliers, it often took me months to come from a face-to-face deal towards a signed contract. As I just been telling you, after we have been closing the deal, we went on to the next step, just negotiating about what we agreed upon. This was a waste of time that led to many negative feelings on both sides of the negotiation party. Save yourself time and effort when you have the opportunity to wrap up the made deal directly when all the negotiation people are still in the same room. I did this by sharing my screen on a monitor while writing the wrap-up email. After the wrap-up email about the deal, I sent that email to the supplier, which directly after sending it confirmed it with me with a reply. Once I agreed to the contract, the signing stage or signing phase was next. It's basically just both parties signing the contract. For traditional companies, the contracts are still based on paper nowadays. However, modern procurement teams are using automated procurement platforms to take care of the contracting phase. Therefore, all contracts are saved on the database and are kept there for safekeeping. Once the contract has been awarded, this is the stage where the sustainable procurement cycle restarts again with RFI, RFQ, etc., especially if you have closed short-term contracts. Of course, depending on the length of your deal, there's always the end of the contract to observe. Normally, most automated procurement systems will come up with a pop-up where they will tell you that your contract is ending shortly. Once all contracts are collated, the program will give an alert regarding an incoming end of a contract opportunity. If you have not automated this, please make sure to create your own file to keep track. For next year, your sustainable procurement goals might change, and of course you want to make sure to incorporate all these goals in all new negotiations with your suppliers. If you want to learn more about topics like implementing the contract, using a contract management plan, managing performance and relationships, managing supplier failure, or managing disposal and end of life, make sure to check our extra reading material. This is it for managing the contract. See you in the next lesson.